When I started law school, when I decided to enter into the legal field, I was very naive and uninformed. What's up, you guys? It's your girl Angela with The Aspiring Boss. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm going to be getting into why I chose big law as my career path. If you're watching this video, you're most likely an attorney, a law student, or an aspiring attorney. And so you probably already know what big law is, but I do know that some of my viewers are still in high school. So just in case you don't, when I say big law, it's like kind of a buzzword in the legal community. But big law basically means a large law firm, usually headquartered or based out of a big city. Not only a large law firm, so you probably have at least like 200 attorneys, or I can't remember what the parameters are, but I'd say 200 plus attorneys. You have multiple practice groups. So you're like a full service law firm where you do litigation and corporate and all of the subsections within that. Not really anything like personal injury or criminal law or anything like that, but you're kind of your big civil litigation, all of the practices within, corporate transactional law, because your clients are going to be businesses. And there's some sort of negative connotations out there about big law. I can get into those. I can be honest about those, but that's just not what this video is going to be about. It's going to be a little bit more positive because I'm talking about why I chose this path, right? So yeah, I just wanted to basically kind of let people understand, big law is what you think about when you hear about, those big name law firms such as Cravath or Skadden. I will say though, there are levels to big law, right? So like I said, you have like your New York based law firms, big names, Chicago, those types of things, but it does change a little bit by what market you're in, right? So I started my legal career in Houston, Texas, huge legal market, right? But a different culture, different vibe than New York. You still work hard, you still work a lot of hours and things like that. There's still those same connotations that go with big law, and same in the Midwest where I currently am. But yeah, there are levels to big law. So some of those horror stories, those big law horror stories, I just haven't experienced just because I didn't do like New York big law. I already knew like I was not going to even be trying to go out of state. Back then I was like, Texas all the way. I'll never live anywhere other than Texas. Obviously that has changed, okay? But yeah, I just kind of wanted to put that out there for anybody who might not know what big law is. Okay, and so before I jump into why, I do want to do a disclaimer. Like, when I started law school, when I decided to enter into the legal field, I was very naive and uninformed. I did not do the research that I probably should have done about job prospects, legal market, and, job prospects for the law school that I chose. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I got in a few law schools and I decided to go to the one I went to. So I will say I was very uninformed. That's a big part of the reason why I shifted this platform to how it's going down, like more based on law, because I realized it would have been great to have people out there like myself and other YouTubers here kind of talking about the legal experience, law, working at a law firm, being a lawyer, and just getting a little bit more insight, because I did go into it very just uninformed. Looking back, I was very uninformed. I was very naive. And just by the grace of God and my hard work, I ended up where I am. But I will say it wasn't this plan, and I would like for anybody watching this who has not yet went through it to be a little bit more informed and to have a plan. So that's why I'm here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the reasons why I chose to go down the big law path. Okay, so the first reason, I'm just gonna go ahead and get this one out the way. Let's be honest. The money, the coins, the dinero is a lot better. Starting out as a first year associate at a law firm, you're going to be making more money than most, people at that age can imagine, especially if you went straight through like me. And that was positive for me, because who doesn't want to make, good money? But really, because I knew I'd got myself in the student debt to be a lawyer, right? And I knew I wanted to be able to pay it off and still live comfortably, right? And we can talk about this in another video, but you cannot let that nice salary be a trap to somewhere that you're not happy. But again, we can talk about that later. But yeah, so in the big law firms, you're probably going to get probably the top salary for your job in the area. So it'll differ by market. If you're in New York versus if you're in Texas or you're in the Midwest, the salary might be a little bit different, but you're likely going to be making probably as good of money as you can in that field in the city that you're in. So that was a big thing for me, just considering my student loans and my debt, and I know the life I want to live and the life I want to have. Okay, so the second reason why I chose big law, and I will just say this, big law gets a really negative connotation in law school, or at least at my law school it did. Like, people were really negative about it. But the way I look at it is, if you start out big law, you can go anywhere. Like, it really puts you in a position to open up a lot of opportunities for you. Whether that means you want to go work at a mid-sized or a smaller law firm, you can. Whether you want to go in-house, you can. Like, I'm at that point in my legal career where I'm starting to get the in-house calls. And the reason they're calling me, like, I'm not looking, their headhunters are calling me, is because they see what law firm that I work at. And again, I'm not saying that if you work at big law, you're smarter or the best lawyer. I'm just saying how the legal field works. That kind of, there's sort of an eliteness to working at big law. Again, I'm not saying that that's true, because I know plenty of lawyers who do not work big law, didn't want to work big law, who are geniuses, right? And some top-notch attorneys. I'm just talking about the perception of what big law means to people when you are looking for jobs in, in corporations and things like that. They know you've had exposure, to certain things, and so they like that. So again, I didn't go into law school with a concise plan for what I wanted my career to look like. And I'm still at that point where I just really don't know, I could shoot for partner in several years, or I could go in-house. I don't know. But I do know that with my resume and the places that I worked at, it will put me in a good place if I decide to interview somewhere else or go do some other things. And I've always known that before I started big law, and that's something that I always keep in the back of my mind. And like I said, I'm not by any means saying that if you do big law, that means you're any better than anyone else. I'm just saying, on the outside, people assume you've been really well trained and you know what you're doing. And so they like to see that experience. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so the next reason that I chose big law, and this I found out when I actually, interned. I was lucky enough to get a big law summer associate position my 1L year, and then my 2L year, I got 2 at 2 separate firms. I know the legal field is changing a little bit, where like firms are less like open to allowing you to split, but back in my day, we got to split summers between firms, and so I got to work at 2 firms and get exposure to certain work. And you guys, the type of work that you get exposed to in a large law firm, I don't have any other experience, but it's so just challenging, high level, like highly substantive, good work. Now, I'm not saying that you're busting through the door the first day doing that work, but just the exposure, just the types of matters that you get to work on. So like as a first year in M&A, right, you're probably going to be doing very like menial tasks, very junior tasks, closing checklist, due diligence, things like that. But if you're doing it for $100 million deal, you're getting to see negotiations, you're getting to see what the documents look like, you're getting to see, the important substantive points. You're getting to just see like very good deals and work being done, you guys. And that is how you learn. You learn by exposure. And this is one of the things that I know a lot of people criticize about big law, especially on the litigation side in law school, right? They were like, oh, well, you're never going to go to trial. You're just like the third man in charge. You're never going to be the one. If I go work somewhere else, I'll be first chairing and I'll be doing, whatever. I don't know litigation terms, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I think when they say first chair, like you're the one actually advocating and speaking in the courtroom. And that is true. But the matters that you're actually first chairing, at that smaller place is going to be not as, big, huge matters like you would at a larger law firm. So it's a give and take, right? And it just depends on what your preference is. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying that was one of the things that went into why I chose. Like, I get to be on an $80 million deal, and yeah, I'm not, the one negotiating or whatever, but the fact that I'm working on it is pretty freaking cool. And one day I'm going to get to a point where I am negotiating these things. So, and this is me talking, back then as a summer associate or a first year, like these are the things that were going through my mind. All right. So the next thing is the resources, you guys. I haven't worked anywhere else, but I've talked to people who are in-house. I've talked to people who are at smaller law firms, and the resources are unbelievable. freaking matched, you guys. I feel like most lawyers are gonna have like an assistant, so that's probably pretty common to have an assistant. But just some of the artificial intelligence we have, some of the technology we have is amazing, you guys. And the firm knows what they expect from their attorneys at Big Law, right? So they do whatever they can to try to make your life easier because they know you're working a lot and you're stressed, right? So for example, if you're not practicing yet, this might sound kind of weird or whatever, but a lot of times I'll like have to run red lines, which seems really easy. And a red line is just comparing one version of a document to a new version or another version of a document. And it seems really easy. But when you're on a deal and you have 40 documents that you need to run red lines for, you're busy, you have calls and everything like that, like tasks like that can take time, and they're easy tasks, but they take time you don't need. I can just email the support center and they'll run those things for me. Or if you need somebody to proofread for you, or if you need any kind of like task like that you have. Like, all right, so the next reason why I chose Big Law is the types of clients we have, right? So I think I mentioned this earlier, but in Big Law, like your clients are going to most likely be companies, right? And like big Uber companies. And that is really cool to me because I already talked about this before, but I'm very interested in businesses and how business works. I just think knowing about business and having access and exposure to how business works and how businesses are run and how they operate is really cool, and I've always liked that. I really like the exposure to different types of clients and different types of industries. I really just think that it not only rounds out my experience as a lawyer, but just as a person who is interested in so many things. And I really do love that. So the next thing is kind of piggybacking off on this, but I like the fact that in Big Law you have access to so many different types of law. Like most law firms, whether small, mid-size, or large, you're gonna have more than one practice group unless you're like just like a solo practitioner or a boutique law firm. But in a big law firm, you literally have everything. IP, M&A, venture capital, litigation, all the different types of litigation, employment law, like literally everything you're gonna have access to. So, which means one, you get exposure to, especially as a summer associate, you will get to try out different practice groups and be able to see like, oh, I kind of like that, right? But also when you're practicing, and when you're developing your own clients, right? So there is nothing better than talking to a client and you're dealing with an issue. And again, I'm a corporate lawyer. And then they say something about a litigation matter. Well, yeah, I don't have any litigation experience, but I can call my girl on the next floor up and hey, my client needs this. And it's just really cool to be able to work in a full service law firm like that. I get exposure to so much, and it really just allows you to better service your clients, right? And like that is the end game, right? That's the whole point of what we do, is to service our clients as good as we can, right? So yeah, I really do like that. And one thing, I didn't even think about this, but I just thought about this right now, but a lot of times in big law firms, they will support you working on pro bono. Like I've done pro bono, I've done a couple pro bonos during my career so far that had nothing to do with what I do. And my law firm was cool with that, and they let me use their resources to support that. So that was really cool. And I find that I've been at three law firms. I find that every big law firm that I've worked at is like that, and I've talked to other people and they seem to have that same experience. So I really do like that as well. I didn't even think about that. That was just like a little extra nugget that came up right now when I was talking. All right, so the last thing is the perks, okay, you guys. The perks are good. I can't lie. You know, you work hard, but there's some perks to it. Y'all, I'll tell you, I've been to a Drake concert, D.L. Hughley comedy show, Houston Texans game, been invited to go to the Chiefs game, but couldn't make it. Like, I have had opportunities to do things that are fun, and it was on the firm. I've had the firm pay for nails, massages, facials, and things like that. And I'm not gonna lie and say like this is an every week, everyday thing, but I have had like some cool perks during, you know, my little 4 years of practicing, and it's really great. And those perks, those are some of the bigger perks, but just like the small everyday things. Back when we were all in the office, there wasn't a week that went by that there wasn't something going on at the firm that I didn't get a free meal, you know, like a free lunch. And y'all know I'm all about saving the coins. When I can, I bring my lunch, or I try to bring my lunch every day when I was back working at the office. I'm still working from home right now, but yeah, like that was pretty cool. Free coffee, breakfast on Fridays, like things like that. And I don't know, that might be everywhere, but that's one thing that is really cool, is just those extra perks, being in a suite. I would never pay for a suite for Drake. Like, I like Drake, but I'm not paying for a suite for Drake. The only person I probably pay for a suite for would be Beyonce. And just things like that, those really cool perks, you know, happy hours, lunches, coffees, things like that. That's something that is really pushed in the big law culture. We work a lot. And so I think that the firm tries to make sure that you are at least having a good time, because they know you're working a lot. And so I really do like that part about it. It was really fun, especially back in my junior days, y'all. I used to like eat that stuff up. And especially when I was a summer associate, you guys, oh my God. Like, I know this past summer, most people were doing their summer associate clerkships virtually. Y'all, if you're still in law school and you're a 1L or a 2L, I pray that you guys get to experience it next summer. I could talk about that a little bit more in another video, but yeah, that summer associate clerkship is really fun, a really good experience, and a really good, the firm does go out of its way to kind of wine and dine you, and that is really fun. So like in your day-to-day, once you start working, it's not like that. It's not an everyday thing like it is in the summer associate program, but you still do get a lot of cool perks. All right, so that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. One thing that I did want to point out is, like I mentioned this a couple times, I think, but big law has a really negative connotation from a lot of people. And I saw this a lot in law school. People are like, oh, you're gonna work so much, you're not gonna have a life, blah, 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 blah. Work-life balance sucks. And you guys, I gotta keep it 100. I work a lot. You know, I had plans last night. Today's Saturday, I had plans last night after work. It's about Labor Day is about to start. I had plans last night to get off at 5. Something came up, somebody sent something at 4:45 and I had to work. Like, so I'm not gonna sit here and say like that I just work a 9-to-5 job. But what I will say is, that's a profession. If you're an attorney, you're gonna work hard and you're gonna work a lot. I really just think that that is the profession. I have friends in small firms who work weekends just like me, who work nights just like me. So don't let people deter you from that. I would say at least experience it on your own. If you have the opportunity to do a summer associate clerkship or some sort of internship with the big law firm, if you're thinking about doing big law, I would say go ahead and get your own experience before just listening to other people and the horror stories. Because I'm not gonna lie, there are some negative things. If you guys want, I can do a video about that, you know, kind of addressing the negative connotations and what's true and what's not, because some of that stuff is true, I can't front. But yeah, I can do a video about that, or I can even talk about the big law process, like how to get a job in big law. In this video, I just kind of want to talk about like my choice and why I went down this path. I know that's something that I've mentioned before, like what type of law firm environment I work in. So that's all I have for you guys today. I'm about to enjoy the rest of my Saturday morning. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click that notification bell so you are notified every time I upload. Also, if you are not yet, follow me on Instagram at _theaspiringboss. I post daily on my stories there where you can get sort of a little bit more insight about me, my daily life, and my work life. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.